Hello and welcome to the Gigabyte Challenge number 7 here on HeflaTV 1. We're still waiting on one of the spectators to load in, and it's the admin that didn't get in there. And well, he is back here now, and we should be able to get into the draft. Well, as far as this game is concerned, it is going to be a best of 1, as this is the Gigabyte Challenge, and all games are best of 1. I think the finals might be best of 3, but I'm not entirely sure. I think it might be best of 1 as well. But the teams playing are Autism Overwhelming. I have no idea who they actually are. I saw that 2 of their members are from My Carry Can't Be This Kawaii, but as to the rest of them, they're not tagged up as far as people that I can recognize. And while they're going to be playing up against Meet Your Makers, a lot more familiar faces on their side, although it doesn't look like the full Meet Your Makers lineup. Arise is going to be playing with them, and he's from Team Signalis, and I don't know, it should be an interesting squad. I definitely say that Autism Overwhelming are the underdogs, although I can't really say that with confidence because I don't know them very well. As for your casters, I'm Grandis V, and once again I'll be joined by Mike Loris.
Whoever chose the name for the Dire is like just the classiest person of all time. Like, seriously, you can't get any more classy than Autism Overwhelming for a team name.
Yeah, I really don't think you can. Yeah, I have no idea.
Well, either way, they are going to be going up against Meet Your Makers. I have seen Meet Your Makers play, I believe, once before. Wasn't too impressed with what they could actually do. I think they had a couple more stand-ins that game as well. So I haven't actually seen them play with a full lineup, but yeah, as it stands, MYM, they haven't impressed me thus far. They just got like utterly demolished in the first couple minutes of the game. They hung on for a little bit longer, but they couldn't really do anything by the end of it. So Autism Overwhelming, haven't seen them play. I've seen CY play, and everyone else I'm pretty sure I haven't, but that's about it. So should be I hope it's a decent game.
Yeah, I don't know, it's so hard to tell. Since this isn't a ticketed game, their official names aren't posted, so some of these players, I'm not sure exactly who they are. I mean, I was reading the chat, and apparently Baby Knight and Arise are playing with Ace and some other fairly familiar names, although I'm not sure who is who, and I'm not sure I can really check that either. But as far as the draft is concerned, nothing too surprising just yet. Death Prophet faces Void banned out, as well as Razor and Lycanthrope first pick Doom. Pretty par for the course.
Yeah, Link and Rise also in the area. I'm assuming ASD and 50 Centaur, which is a great name. Like, that is a name with some real class, 50 Centaur. I love it. But yeah, not too sure who is who, but does it matter? Not really in the end of it. Looks like the first picks are out. Autism Overwhelming going to be picking up the Doom first, and Meet Your Makers going to respond with a Shadow Shaman. They have the Death Prophet banned out for them, which is what I saw them play in the last set I casted of them. But, you know, they could always go in a different direction. Maybe something like a Brewmaster.
Yeah, or if they want to pick up their support to pair with the Shadow Shaman, they pretty much have the cream of the crop as far as supports are concerned. As none of them were really touched, Shadow Shaman, you could pick up the Scarlet Mage to go with that, Earthshaker if you want to. I don't know, Meet Your Makers, they have a lot of different options open to them with this second pick.
And we'll be going into a Doom, so I think that going for like swamping the enemies and Doom targets is probably the best way to deal with the Doom. Like, obviously, Shadow Shaman is a hero that you would want to Doom. In the previous game I was casting with Coucher, the enemies, or the Doom's enemies, picked up just 5 heroes that you need to Doom. They had like a Silencer, they had a Death Prop, they had a Shadow Shaman. Don't really remember the other ones, but it's like, no matter what you choose, it's going to be bad for your team because there are so many important heroes to silence. But for now, Meet Your Makers, they're going to go for a Skywrath Mage. They could still go for that kind of strategy later on, but just shoring up the supports for starters.
Yeah, for now, I think that's a pretty solid way to open up the draft. If you can get your ideal supporting duo with the first 2 picks, I definitely think it's worth it. But that will leave the Brewmaster in the pool for Autism Overwhelming to snag up for themselves. Although they're picking this up into a Skywrath Mage, it's still a really solid hero.
You always got to watch out for that quick silence. Just the threat of that is oftentimes more dangerous than actually having it happen, because to have it happen, your Brewmaster will have to be blinking right into a Skywrath Mage who is not prepared for it. So you have to be careful as to whether or not you decide to clap split or just blink split. Obviously, you would want to clap split first to get more damage onto the enemies. The clap not only does claps damage, but it also helps your Brewlings do more damage while everyone is slowed. So it's pretty important for the Brewmaster to do that. But up against the Hex and the Skywrath Mage, I don't know how much I like this pick of the Brewmaster. He should have an okay time in lane. He normally does. But come later, once he picks up his Blink Dagger, he's going to struggle to get a really solid combination off.
Yeah, I think more than anything, this Brewmaster is going to be forced into counter-initiating rather than starting off the fights. They're probably going to have to rely on the Doom to jump in first, because if this Brewmaster jumps in, it's more than likely going to end poorly for him.
Yeah, he's gonna have to pretty much instantly clap split, else be seriously punished. If he gets hexed, then well, he's not gonna be able to cast anything. If he gets silenced, then he could very easily be focused down. But the bans are coming through. We got Viper, Tidehunter, Earthshaker. So again, some of these more powerful heroes are being kicked out of the pool as neither team really knows in what direction the other is going to go for. MYM, I expect them to just ban out another support hero. Not too sure which support hero right now. I don't know, maybe just Rubik or something like that, but right now, MYM, they have pretty much the monopoly on all the good supports.
They will ban out the Disruptor and instead still a really solid support that's kind of hard to argue with. They'll pick up the Centaur as well. I don't know, really great offlaner for themselves, especially on the Radiant side. Should be able to get a decent timing for his Blink Dagger and combos really well with the Scarlet Mage.
Yeah, so Centaur. Also, just another bulky frontliner to put your Skywrath and Shadow Shaman behind. It's not looking like they're going to be going for much pushing with the Centaur pick, but having someone to at least distract the Doom, try to peel off the Brewmaster, stuff like that from your squishies is going to be certainly very useful for the Centaur. Also, a lot of mobility early on, maybe getting a Shadow Shaman initiation with speed, whereas ordinarily wouldn't be able to do so. Stuff like that is what the Centaur does open the door for.
Yeah, and well, for the side of the Dire, we'll have to see what they're going to pick up. They probably need 2 supports left as well as 1 more core. Presumably going towards their mid or safe lane, because I think that either Brewmaster or Doom is going to be taking the offlane position.
Yeah, it's going to be a Sand King, actually, for Autism Overwhelming. It makes it so that they have 3 melee heroes. They have some really great team fight, but their lanes are going to suffer if they don't pick up some ranged. If they pick up 1 more, then MYM, they're just going to run over Autism Overwhelming very early on, just having ranged heroes in the lane, because 3 melee heroes is not fun times, and MYM, they're going to go for a Mirana, so it looks like they're going to go for a very middle-of-the-road kind of draft for themselves. They could go, again, into anything with their last pick. If they want to pick up a Pugna, then so be it. If they want to go for heavy pushing, and they'll be fine, or they could pick up a really hard carry, and they could do that as well.
Yeah, I know, there's very many options on the side to meet your bankers, but Autism Overwhelming don't really have that luxury. The Doom is more than likely going to be forced into the offlane and then probably have to back off into the jungle fairly early on. Sand King is more than likely also going to be hitting in the jungle for quite a large amount of the time, and I don't know, if Meet Your Makers just ward a couple of their camps, Autism Overwhelming's early laning stage could be really demolished.
Yes, they need some serious lane control. Partnered with the Sand King, Ancient Apparition isn't a terrible hero to pick up, though you will always kind of have to be facing down the fact that level 1 Burrow Strike and level 2 Burrow Strike, hell, even level 3 Burrow Strike to some extent are not exactly great setups, and then you're working with Ancient Apparition with a whole bunch of melee heroes with Chilling Touch, which sometimes works out, sometimes doesn't. Witch Doctor is still in the pool. I don't know how much I like that for them. The Voodoo Restoration would certainly help since everyone's so bulky, but it's a range support.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that they need something a little bit more reliable than Witch Doctor, and, well, they're going to go for a Zeus instead. Not something that I was anticipating that they'd pick up here, and I don't know, very curious. Mirana, Shadow Shaman, as well as Skywrath Mage are fairly susceptible to the damage Zeus is going to be putting out. And as long as they don't get the jump on him, it could work out for them, but they need to soak a lot of the attention in the team fights with the Doom and Brewmaster if this Zeus is going to be able to do anything at all.
5 seconds.
The Meet Your Maker side definitely have the type of lineup that could find Zeus and then burst him down in an instant, before he gets any of his spells off. You hex him, you shackle him, you silence him, you centaur him, you arrow him. They have all the tools in the world in order to deal with this really soft, really bursty hero. The question is who's going to be going up against Zeus in lane, because that is really going to determine how well the Zeus does. It's pretty clearly, I would say, a mid lane Zeus right now, though a side lane Zeus with Sand King is still within the realm of possibility.
It definitely is a possibility, although I think this is going to be a mid-Zeus, which really means Meet Your Makers could go for whatever they wanted to. Zeus, not really a particularly strong laner, especially if you get a magic stick. I don't know, you're pretty much just feeding away those charges every time you go for a CS.
Yeah, but we'll see what they actually want to do. Maybe if they predict that the Zeus No, never mind. I was gonna suggest something like an OD in order to really shut down that Zeus, but versus Brewmaster versus Doom, you don't really want to have an OD on your side, so wouldn't be a fantastic pickup for them. Um, they could always go for something like a Puck and get more initiation that way. I wouldn't mind seeing that from Meet Your Makers if they do feel like doing that, or maybe even go for a Mag. I know Arise's Mag is noteworthy.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. I'd love to see it this game, honestly, just because it's a Rises mag. Yep, well, as far as this last pick, we'll have to see where Meet Your Makers actually are going to go. I presume this is going to be a mid lane hero for them. And I don't know, the pool for mid heroes is pretty wide open. They could go for whatever they wanted to. Right now, teamfight control would be wonderful for them, or they could go for something that could carry a little harder. I don't know, I think Puck would be solid and probably your best all-around hero, although I'm still holding out for the Magnus. I don't know, when you see Arise play Magnus, he is going to be going for more of that carry style. Building into treads and Battlefield after his blink, it's quite fun to watch if he's able to connect with those RPs. And up against the Autism Overwhelming's lineup, he probably should be able to. With the exception of the Zeus, everybody else is going to be fairly clumped up when they jump in, and the counter initiation power would be very strong coming out from a mag.
And even getting someone to do a little bit more damage, whether it be a mag or otherwise, would certainly be welcome for Meet Your Makers. Because as far as late game scaling is concerned, Mirana isn't the best, though. What they have to really worry about is the earlier stages where Brewmaster is going to reign supreme, where Zeus is going to reign supreme. So it's going to be an Invoker in the end. So it's a reasonable matchup versus Zeus. We'll give them a lot of that early game power. So Meet Your Makers, they're still a very much so middle of the road draft, but I think it could actually work out if they take a really powerful mid game.
And they have the tools in order to do so. With a Mirana as well as Centaur and an Invoker to back that up, their pickout potential is wonderful. Their teamfight's pretty good as well. As long as they're able to get the jump, I think the biggest issue for them is going to be that timing where Doom, Brewmaster, and Zeus are going to be fighting up against no BKBs on the side of Meet Your Makers. Eventually, Mirana and Invoker will be picking those up, but for their first items or so, they're probably not going to be getting those very quickly.
Yeah, Centaur is going to want to pick up a Blink Dagger, and then I think straight into a Pipe is probably the build for him. And ooh, Autism Overwhelming. They last pick a Life Stealer. I have no idea how they're planning on laning this. Maybe just a pure jungling hero, but this is a 4 melee team comp with a Zeus. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it.
I hate it too. Honestly, after seeing their lineup, I would have loved to see a Timbers on the side of Meet Your Makers, but with the Centaur already picked up, I mean, it's not going to be a choice. I don't know. Yeah, this Lifestealer pick just feels so out of place. He has some decent bombs that he can go with, Sand King and Brewmaster whenever they jump in once they get their Blink Daggers. But yeah, I just don't see this Lifestealer really working out. They have a Silence on the Scarlet Mage to deal with Rage. Yeah, it just seems that it's going to fall flat on its face. I definitely think that Autism Overwhelming are going to be forced into jungling hero, and if not, they're going to have a roaming Brewmaster Sand King supporting duo, which just feels really weak.
It feels really weak because it is really weak. They need like both of them to get boots if they're going to land their skills on anyone. And if they don't have that, well, Sand King has boots. That's a step in the right direction, I suppose. But still, he's working with level 1 Burrow Strike. This is going to be the most awkward laning phase you will ever lay your eyes on. But we are in the draft. Let's see who's on the Autism Overwhelming side. We got Carrot playing the carry Lifestealer. Maestro is going to be on the... Is this support Zeus? He has the Observer Ward. CY is going to be on the Sand King. Mid lane is going to be controlled by Doom, by that guy. I don't even know what his name is. And that leaves Brewmaster as Rosso.
Yeah, and while on the side of Meet Your Makers, they are going to make an aggressive rotation into the woods, but not find anybody. Centaur going to be played by 50 Centaur. Arise playing the Invoker. Bland on the Mirana, and that will leave our supports Baby Knight on the Scarlet Mage, and last but not least, ASD playing on the Shadow Shaman. Yeah, I definitely think that support Zeus could be a thing in certain situations. He's kind of like Scarlet Mage in the lightning phase, where you just spam out your chain lightning to zone people out, but he's not starting out with any clarities, and honestly, I'm not sure Maestro is going to be able to do much. They might give him the lane a little bit after Carrot gets off to an early start and can back off into the jungle. But even then, this Zeus, I'm not sure he's going to be able to get the levels in order to be relevant.
But I do like this play from Autism. They put the Brewmaster in the mid lane. he has a magic stick, which against anyone not Batrider you would say is a little bit strange, but they made a read on MYM, who are laning the Skywrath Mage in the mid lane. So Skywrath Mage is going to be spamming out those arcane bolts pretty much nonstop on the Brewmaster, and every single time he does it, a little bit of that is going to be refunded to that Brewmaster because of that magic stick. So very well read by the Autism overwhelming side. But the question is that going to be enough to redeem the fact that their early stage is going to be absolutely abysmal?
Yeah, I don't know, 50 Centaur should be pretty good in this top lane, although he'll eat some harass and Lifestealer is just going to feast away on him. Yeah, it does quite a lot of damage with those auto attacks, but in the end, bottom lane is going to be an Invoker played by Rise, and the supports are going to be hanging around there. They're not the best roaming duo, but they do have boots on the Shadow Shaman, so maybe they'll be able to set up some arrows. Yeah, I don't really like this choice coming out from Meet Your Makers. I think if they just went for the mid lane Invoker and the tri-lane with the Mirana, Skywrath Mage, and Shadow Shaman, their lane phase would be a lot stronger. But then again, up against the side of Autism overwhelming, they definitely have a lot of room to where they can be greedy with their lanes.
So that top lane Lightning Bolt, that is looking so good hitting onto 50 Centaur. They can't actually get any kills here. As you said before, Zeus support is kind of like a Skywrath Mage. He doesn't have the same crowd control and the silence or the concussive shot, so Zeus is just 100% pure burst, and ordinarily you would see him in the mid lane because solo lane experience means that he can burst people down very quickly. And honestly, I don't really like this from the Autism overwhelming side. Like, I don't know how they would lane it any better than this, but Zeus is not going to get many levels up, and that means his burst is going to be rather subpar for the entirety of the game.
I don't know, I almost would have liked to see them go for an offlane Zeus with boots first and just try to get as much CS with Chain Lightning, but that would be pretty much just suicidal. And they start the Doom off in the jungle, just completely sacking the bottom lane, which will give Invoker a free lane, which is something that you really don't want to be doing. And then also the Mirana as well as Shadow Shaman will also be able to roam wherever the heck they want to. And yeah, not sure if Doom will actually go the off lane anytime soon after giving up a little bit of experience there. I'm not sure he'll be able to.
And by the time the Doom does rotate down, Arise should have, at the very least, enough to force the Doom out of lane, whether that's by Forge Spirits or just by having so many points of exhort that the Doom can't afford to get close, and he'll have Quas to regenerate in between that harassment. So Doom, I think, is just relegated to full-on jungling duty. Sand King, or the Zeus, rather, is relegated to full-on pulling duty. And see why? I think at this point, if you're Sand King, you just go for jungling from minute 0, and unfortunately for them, the hard camp, or one of the hard camps, is blocked, so Sand King jungling is incredibly slow, and it's even slower if you actually can't get stacks off.
Yeah, I don't know, it's very hard to jungle from minute 0 until you have the 2 points up until the Sandstorm. It's just incredibly difficult, especially the large camps. If you have a Satyr in there, it's just not going to happen for you. Invoker has been left alone by the sports, or at least Iopia is. After they run this pull, I'd like to see them start roaming. Because this Miranda really isn't accomplishing much in the bottom lane, neither the Shadow Shaman, and getting a kill on the Brewmaster, or maybe even just harassing the Doom inside the jungle, would be a better usage of their time.
Put 3 heroes up on top lane, have 50 Centaur be super aggressive, as right now he's getting some pretty decent levels, like all things considered. He's up against almost 4 heroes up in his jungle area, so he's still getting a decent time, and Arise certainly doesn't need the help in the lane. He's an Invoker versus 0. Like, a 1v0 lineup is pretty good no matter who you are. Invoker is no exception to that rule, so these supports should be leaving the lane shortly. Level 2 Shadow Shaman means he'll have both of his disables available. Mirana looking towards mid lane, he will throw out an arrow, which will go wide by quite a large margin. But yeah, MYM, it seems like they want to stick their supports still in this bottom lane and just possibly wait till Centaur gets to level 6 and then start to make stuff happen. That's going to take quite a while, though.
Yeah, I don't know, if they're gonna go for this, I really would like to see the supports try to make a kill. At the very least, do go up towards the top lane and have the triple lockdown. With the War Stomp coming up from the Centaur, follow up Shackles into Arrow, maybe they'll be able to do something, but I don't know. Astig after the Doom is down bottom now after sitting in the jungle till level 2.5, and I don't know if he gets caught out by the Shackles, they might be able to make something happen. For now, it's just Bland leading a charge and running at him.
Yeah, and the Invoker at a certain point can do that all by himself, though. Level 4 versus level 2 Doom isn't enough so that the Invoker has complete and utter lane dominance. Level 6-ish is when that's going to happen. He'll have enough exhort to really just punish the Doom, and if he summons the Forge Spirits, or the Forge Spirit at that point, then the Doom really can't do anything to compete against that, except for devour it? I'm pretty sure you can devour Forge Spirits, though. You don't really get anything for it. You don't get the, what is it called? Melting Strike?
No, you don't get the Melting Strike, but I think you can devour it, or at least I assume you can.
Top lane. 50 Centaur. Almost going to go down. Oh, Maestro. Maestro. I'm just going to call him Maestro. That's so much easier. Level 1 Lightning Bolt, killing off the Centaur War Runner. Got open wounded, and, well, couldn't survive enough. He doesn't have any survivability items.
In the end, I wasn't expecting that 50 Centaur to get caught out there, but he just overstayed his welcome, and now, with Phase Boots on Carrot as well as level 2 Thunderbolt, the Wrath damage as well as the killing potential is going to be a lot greater, especially if they have a Sand King roaming in. Sand King currently sitting at level 2, going to be reserved to farming the small camp as they do make a go onto Doom and pick him off with the Ether Shock and the Shadow Shaman, picking up that haster and setting up that kill fairly easily.
He actually dove the tower a little bit. He ran into the tower range to get the shackle, lined up an arrow, and then at that point it was just Invoker's damage potential. It's shredding down the Doom, and well, Doom's going to teleport right back. MYM not going to walk away with that completely fine, as Shadow Shaman does have to base off of that, but still getting a kill for their Shadow Shaman is going to help him quite a bit in that he's very close to his Arcane Boots.
Yeah, and Arcane Boots at this point in the game is going to be very helpful for them, as a Shadow Shaman with Arcane Boots right now would make sure that pretty much the Mirana and the Shadow Demon, or Shadow Shaman, excuse me, can roam completely autonomously. They don't need to go back to base, and they can just keep on spamming out those arrows and shackles and try to make something happen. Although, it's not the easiest, especially now that Brewmaster almost has his level 6, and Lifestealer with Rage just naturally fairly tanky against that duo.
Yeah, not only do the Arcane Boots help the roaming combination, but also whenever they go into the Skywrath Mage's lane, Skywrath, who's usually very low on mana, or should be low on mana if he's playing correctly, he's going to benefit a lot from having just that extra jump in mana. As Baby Knight, he's doing pretty well in the lane, although Haruso is going to start with the clap and big crit. Skywrath Mage still very vulnerable with 1 base armor. They do teleport the Zeus into the middle lane as well, but Arise with this complete free lane has completed up a very scary pre-6-minute Hand of Midas. And Autism, they don't have any response to this.
Yeah, well, Zeus is still sticking around looking for the Thunderbolt onto Baby Knight. They're not able to get in range, and in the end, I think that's not going to happen. They might be able to split and go for that kill, but they won't have a clap split at the very least, as Brewmaster just spent his mana and has no stick charges anymore.
A quick look at how the Centaur is doing. He's still getting a couple of levels up here and there, though. He is fairly broke. He does have his Tranquil Boots finished, so any chip harassment that he withstands is not really going to stick. And well, CY has found himself a level 4 Sand King somehow. I think just by pulling and jungling, stuff like that. He's leveling up pretty decently, not farming the fast as far as Sand Kings go. But I think Autism, they have pretty much gone over the hump of their really crappy laning phase. MYM haven't punished them enough.
Yeah, I mean, they come out with a Midas on their Invoker to really good timing, as well as a Skywrath Mage that's farming well. But in the end, that's about it. The Skywrath Mage, he's going to be going for, as far as this next time, it looks like he's just sending himself out a Staff of Wizardry. What that is, I have no idea. Pretty much most Staff of Wizardry items are pretty solid on your Skywrath Mage. I'd expect this to be a Force or an Atos, though.
Yeah, I'd like to see an Atos. Again, the fact that everyone on the enemy team is melee means that the slow is going to be crippling, or that much more crippling, as 50 Centaur up on top. He hit with the Lightning Bolt as well as a Burrow Strike. He's taking a lot of damage, but here comes the Skywrath Mage doing a lot of damage to CY. 50 Centaur will try to run away, but another Lightning Bolt will kill him off. Sunstrike will whiff onto the Sand King. It looks like his Baby Knight going to try to kill off Maestro. He will just barely do it as the tower secures the kill there, and he's bottling up. Wants to turn around for Carrot, perhaps. Going to throw out a couple of Arcane Bolts. 1 shot, maybe 2. Is that going to be enough? I think it will be. Salve will keep him alive. With Phase Boots movement speed, he's going to live.
Yeah, so in the end, that's going to be a buyback from the Zeus. Very peculiar coming out from him. But in the end, that's going to stymie Zeus's item progression, although as a support, not really having much of anything. Had he had level 6, maybe that buyback would have been worth it. But without it, really didn't do anything.
Yeah, so in the end, the score is just 2-2. Skywrath Mage, cleaning up somewhat up on top as 50 Centaur continuing to struggle versus this burst damage of the Zeus. And well, how often do you get to say that, right? That's pretty cool. But 50 Centaur is almost at his level 6 mark, and once he has that, I don't see him dying at least as long as he has Stampede available to him.
Yeah, because really how he's been dying up top, or how he did die, was the open wounds and just right-clicking him and the burst damage coming out from the Zeus. But in the end, if he has his ultimate, he'll probably be able to get out there safely, unless they follow up with the Burrow Strike and have an Epicenter as well. But that's very unlikely, especially until the Sand King gets his Blink Dagger. But as saying that, Blink is not too far off from the Sand King, only about 650 gold away.
And the Lifestealer is going for an action build, so he's going to have some pretty high contributions very, very shortly, whereas the Invoker, he's taking a little bit of a slower build. MYM, rather, the Lifestealer, Carrot, he's building perfectly correct against the MYM lineup, because if MYM do take the super late game, it's not going to go fantastically for them, being up against so many strength heroes. So you might as well just build up for the early game right now as a Lifestealer. Get your drums, get your phase boots, maybe even go for a Sanji Yasha, go for the race car Lifestealer build, and then just be ready to fight early.
Yeah, and it looks like that is what he's going to be doing. The Doom on the other side of the map is pretty much looking exactly the same as the Centaur for all intents and purposes. As the Centaur has gone on with the ultimate, he'll be just fine, however. But yeah, Tranquil Boots on both of them, as well as, well, the Doom has a stout shield and a stick up on him, but that's about it.
Looks like they're actually trying to make some pressure happen up on top, but here comes Baby Knight with the concuss shot onto Carrot. Won't get the silence off. Lightning Bolt to Baby Knight will hurt quite a bit. Teleportation coming in. It's going to be Bland with an arrow available. Freehanding. No, no one's going to go in. Okay, Haster and Brewmaster incoming, and that's something MYM do not want to deal with.
Yeah, I don't know, this support Miranda really hasn't done anything this game. I think the one kill on bottom was all that they had, but pretty much any other support would have been able to accomplish about the same. It kind of felt like an afterthought, putting the Miranda as a support, rather than the primary idea. So I think if they put the Scarith Mage there, as a support instead, they would have been a little bit better off for it. But still, we'll have to see if he's going to be able to get his arrows on point. If you still get your arrows, even with no farm at all, a 5-second stun never really scales off.
Yeah, I would never complain about having a 5-second stun on my side. And what it looks like, MYM, it looks like, yeah, they're definitely looking to put the pressure on, because right now, they're getting levels onto ASD. He's soloing the lane versus the Brewmaster, so he wants level 6. And also they have the Invoker, who is well on his way to his Necro Book. I don't think there are any more Necro Books being picked up from MYM. Once they have this, they're going to look to make a push happen, and they're going to catch the Doom as well. Silence him into an arrow into Sunstrike, which will not hit, but still, it's a really dead Doom on bottom lane. They have double Forge Spirits available to them. This might be an attempt for a tier 1 tower push, and it should happen since the tower is pretty low.
Yeah, I think they'll be able to take it. There's very little the Doom can do to counterpush. They'll need to commit more than just the Doom down here if they want to defend. Presumably the Brewmaster, but Brewmaster's too low on mana, really. And he has his Blink Dagger up, and that's nice, but yeah, tier 1 tower is just going to be sacked, more or less.
Question is, do they keep going? They don't have any Serpent Wards just yet. Shadow Shaman, though he does have the levels, isn't in the area. So Arise is most likely going to make this bottom lane his home. He's going to get the Necro Unit 3, and then whenever anyone comes into this lane, he snaps them, pops the Forge Spirits, tries to throw a Sunstrike on him, and then punishes the fact that Autism are sending one person alone. So that probably isn't the best course of action for Autism Overwhelming, as now in the mid lane, we see Baby Knight and Bland smoked up. They're going to lose the smoke onto Hiroso. Drop of an Observer Ward, and Hiroso is not aware of this fact. The silence is there, and Hiroso can get tagged with an arrow. This is a very dead Brewmaster. Sunstrike would have hit, although he was dead by the time it landed.
Yeah, in the end, there's just nothing that the Brewmaster could do there. A good move coming out from the sports, and in the end, shooter or hitter, a pretty easy kill. Now the tier 1 tower also going their way with the first usage of Serpent Wards. ASD should be pretty happy about this.
MYM are playing this pretty well so far. They have 2 towers ahead, plus 2 kills. 50 Centaur has almost a Blink Dagger. He's almost 600 away from that. Sand King does have a Blink Dagger of his own, though he is level 6. He doesn't have an Epicenter just yet. So Blink Dagger, Sand King, not the most threatening thing on the map, especially since you have so many ways to disable him with the Hex, with the Shackle. And at a certain point, the Invoker will have a little bit of disable himself. So MYM, they are probably just going to wait for the Shadow Shaman to get his Serpent Wards back up. But until then, Baby Knight is going to roam very heavily looking for pretty much whoever he get his hands on. Whoever he finds is pretty much dead.
More surprising to me is the Shadow Shaman's farm. They gave him the mid lane for quite some time with 2-0 on the Shadow Shaman, as well as the tower going his way. He's going to be sitting on a Blink Dagger as well as Arcane Boots, more farmed by quite a large margin. Or, no, not more farmed than Scarith Mage. He's sitting on about 2,000 gold, but I don't know, his impact has been pretty huge, and now he's going to make that Blink Dagger work for him as he goes up and top. Yep, Baby Knight going to be open wounds up, but that's about it.
There's a Blink Burrow Strike, but it looks like everyone else is going to back off. That was a pure scouting ultimate from Zeus, and the way the Zeus ultimate works, if you're invisible, is that it shows you, but it doesn't do anything to you. So they saw the Scarith Mage was just chilling in their jungle, so they all just kind of collapsed upon him, and his Invis rune was wearing off in the meantime. So looks like MYM, they do get out alive with their Scarith Mage. They trade the Centaur ultimate and the Mirana ultimate in exchange for the Thunder God's Wrath. And well, they're just going to smoke up again and go for round number 2 because Shadow Shaman has his blink very early. They get the disable and silence on a carrot. They demolish his slice there. Epicenter's going to come in onto 3 and they instantly take out 2. Now this is what's going to happen. Doom onto Baby Knight. They take out 4. That fight looked so great for MYM, but the AoE damage from Autism Overwhelming is the real deal.
Yeah, I don't know, what a beautiful Epicenter Bro Strike combo coming out from the CY. In the end, they used the split for that as well. Not sure if that was entirely necessary. Didn't really feel that doing much. I think just the blink clap was the bigger issue. But in the end, looks like they'll put some damage on this tier 1 tower and probably take it, although the glyph will delay things for now.
In the meantime, Invoker is still doing split pushing business down on bottom. They throw an arrow and hit on to CY. Teleportation coming in. It's going to be the Skywrath Sunstrike, though. It's going to be what kills him off. And they find anyone else. Concussive Shot is going to be searching, but Doom is a little bit too far away, and yeah, everyone is going to back off. But Serpent Wards are up, so MYM, they're going to crack back and take a tier 1 tower of their own. In the meantime, Invoker, still at the bottom, is going to snap up his Maestro, and he has to worry about Carrot. There's the open wounds. He doesn't have an Invoke just yet. He's going to try to teleport out of here after Lightning Strike Mini Stun. He will just barely make it out. Stampede as well for some reason, but yeah, they get the Invoker out of bottom lane, a real sticky situation there, and it looks like they'll take down a top tower as well, so nothing but wins now for MYM after that bad fight.
Yeah, I don't know, he used the open wounds for that Zeus. He falls very low to a Sunstrike, but in the end, not enough Exort to get that kill. Had that been maxed out, maybe, but yeah, still tier 1 tower going the way, Invoker surviving, really big win for MYM, and now they have the Necronomicon 3 on Invoker. It's time to push. As soon as they have Serpent Wards again, they can probably start going for tier 2s. They have an Atos on the Sky and Blink on the Centaur. The core items are really coming out big for MYM.
Yeah, they have all the key items that they would need to fight really well right now, and then some with the Blink Dagger, the Shadow Shaman. The problem with their lineup is that the more items, though they will help, won't offer as much of a power leap as the items that they picked up currently. Like Blink Dagger on Centaur is a huge one. The Necro unit, the Necro book on the Invoker is a huge one. The Rod of Atos on Skywrath, the same thing. So MYM, they're gonna have to look to keep on applying this pressure, and well, if they continue playing the way that they have been so far, then it should be a really easy cleanup with the tier 2 towers. But again, they have to respect the fact that Epicenter does really hurt, and Sand King got a beautiful one last time. Maybe he won't get an equally good one next time, but still, the possibility is there, and it's dangerous.
For sure, Zeus picks himself up the Arcane Boots. He's using that ultimate very liberally for scouting, and I like it. Coming out from Maestro, I think it's a good usage. Whenever it's off of cooldown, it's not the longest. It's better to get that intel than to just have it sit.
Yeah, sometimes you want to have it for fights. Other times it's just better to know where a fight is going to happen so you could actually prepare. Burrow Strike now onto 50 Centaur. There was an infest somewhere last year, I think, just killing off a neutral. Looks like 50 Centaur will survive it. As I said before, he should work on a pipe now, but they have Serpent Wards available, and it looks like MYM, they're going to all mobilize on the mid lane, perhaps. They see a target there in the Brewmaster, though. They can't kill him off. They're definitely going to look to a tower. The question is which one.
Yeah, I don't know, we'll have to see. It looks like they're going to go for the tier 2 tower in bottom lane. Mid's a bit more difficult to push. They'll leave the Centaur there for now, but eventually he'll join the rest of his team. He has his ultimate, he has Blink Dagger, they have all of their cooldowns with the exception of Marauder ulti. Yeah, and it looks like bottom lane is going to be the choice. They're just going to go as a 5-man group, summon Forge Spirits, and then once they get to the tower, Necronomicon, and then Serpent Wards if necessary, and they'll take it very easily.
Gotta keep tabs on CY, though. They're pretty clumped up right now, the MYM side, though. They should be spreading out shortly. Baby Knight off to the side. Rosso is going to look to initiate, but there are still a lot of units here. CY does jump in with an Epicenter, only catches a Rise, though, with Epicenter as Rosso does jump in for the clap split. He's going to get that off successfully in zone, and everyone else, 50 Centaur in the meantime, back end, is going to distract as many people as he can. There's the ultimate from Zeus. So far, it's a 2-for-1 trade. ASD trying to blink away from this Brewmaster. Baby Knight still in the trees, going to try to work on Maestro. With the amount of damage he has, plus a Rise's Meteor Deafening Blast, he's going to kill off that Zeus very easily. Now Carrot being focused down by Baby Knight. Blink out from the Brewmaster right into the Serpent Ward's arrow. Ooh, just barely falling short, but Rosso should also fall here. MYM get a full-on team wipe after a whiffed ultimate from the Sand King. It's a triple kill for Baby Knight, who was pretty much the entire time chilling in the trees, throwing out Arcane Bolts.
Yeah, and with the Atos as well as level 11 now on the Skywrath Mage, those Arcane Bolts are really stinging. And, well, for now, a really good fight for MYM. They get the tier 2 tower, full team wipe. I think they lost only 2 there. Yeah, a very convincing win.
Can't ask for much more, and the scary thing is that they could just rinse and repeat in another 50 seconds. Boots of Travel being picked up from the Skywrath Mage, so even opening the door for a little bit of split push. The Invoker did go down, unfortunately, with Hand of Midas available. Moran had survived, and it looks like Shadow Shaman. He's sitting on another 2,200 gold. This Shadow Shaman is just filthy rich. It's kind of disgusting. Like, 2,250 at this stage of the game for Shadow Shaman is what you want, like, total, not, like, in addition to Blink Dagger Arcane Boots. Maybe it's going to be an Aghanim Scepter for him?
I would think so. I don't see there's a reason to not get it. He's a little unfortunate that he won't have level 11, but by the time he finishes the Ags, he should have that. I don't know, just the Ogre Club and Point Booster alone are going to give him a lot more tank, and he might even be able to survive, especially if they have a pipe on the Centaur through the Epicenter from the Sand King. And usually, Shadow Shaman's impact in a team fight is over once he drops the wards, but if you can get another Shackle or Hex, that could be amazing.
Yeah, right now, Autism, they're posing around the Roshan pit, though it's mostly just for counter-push reasons. Centaur still in the jungle is working on that pipe that we mentioned before, and CY is creeping his way forward in the Sandstorm, level number 3, and he jumps right into an arrow. CY is going to get obliterated, and now the ultimate from the Brewmaster, plus the Zeus, but already the Stampede has been used, plus the Moonlight Shadow. There's nothing that Autism can do to actually withstand this. Sunstrike will be thrown on someone. They do reinitiate onto Maestro. They kill off the Zeus. Who else is left from Autism? Arise looking for a cold snap target, is going to cash it onto Carrot. Arrow is going to be thrown. They see the Courier. One more hit is all they need. Blink forward, chopping it down. Easy Courier kill. It was holding on to quite a bit of loot. Let's see, Mithril Hammer for the Brewmaster. So his BKB is not going to be online for a long time, but that was just, honestly, kind of unlucky for the Sand King, blinking straight into an arrow.
Yeah, and in the end, after that, they just kind of panicked. They used all their ultimates, and MYM were able to pull back out, and then reinitiate as soon as they'd blown their kit, and once they'd earned up the rest of your heroes to sustain through that. Now another tier 2 tower going the way. Epicenter being challenged by CY. He wants to go in again. He's going to be able to get a double Burrow Strike as well as Epi. It's almost going to destroy ASD immediately. Oh, won't be able to get any more spells, so double kill to start things off. They silence up the Brewmaster and are looking for more. But for now, 2 for tier 2 as the arrow lands on the Doom. That's just going to disengage, but another beautiful Burrow Strike comes out from CY. They try to munch through Rise, and they'll have the damage this time. No TPing out from him. And in the end, Autism should be very happy with how that last engage went. After losing a 2-2 tower, that was pretty inevitable. But yeah, really good play coming out from CY. He's been pretty hit or miss this game, but when he hits hard.
Yeah, he had a great hit and then a horrible miss and then, well, another great hit. So if there's a pattern forming, then the next Epicenter / Burst Strike / Initiation will be absolutely abysmal. But we'll see if there's actually a pattern there. As Autism off of that fight, they're going to go straight into the Roshan pit. They have Doom to tank, and they have a good amount of staying power with that open wounds on the Roshan. Damage isn't going to be the highest, but I don't think MYM know about this, nor can they do anything about it. So 13 to 11, Autism, they're losing a lot of the towers, so the gold advantage is in MYM's favor, though not by a ton. I mean, it's still in their favor, but Autism, they're still very much so in this game, especially off of Roshan.
Yeah, for sure. And, well, Brewmaster, it's unfortunate that he lost his Mithril Hammer, but by the time the Courier comes back, he will have the completed BKB. So yeah, his chances of getting his ultimate off with the clap as well are going to increase quite a bit. The Silence and Hex aren't going to do anything if you're BKB'd. So yeah, as long as they're able to get the BKB off on the Lifestealer and the Rage on Carrot, they should be looking pretty good. Carrot is going to be going towards the Sanjin Yasha as his next item. We'll have that completed, just needs to send it to himself on the Courier that is still dead for 40 seconds.
In the meantime, MYM, 4 heroes up on top with Arise, well, not having any part of this one. So looks like they're just going to have an attempt at a quick smash and grab at this tower, drop the Serpent Wards, and then just try to rush it down before anyone from Autism can arrive. Because the rest of the Autism Overwhelming team, they're on the bottom lane, and they're trying to take a tier 1 of their own. But I think it should be a fairly easy tier 1 tower, as they do spot Hiroso with an Invis Rune. Do they have any True Sight? No. Okay. Brewmaster gets to live. They deploy the Serpent Wards finally, though a little bit late. And now I don't know if they could actually get this, although here comes Invoker for a little bit more pushing power. They know that the Brewmaster is invisible, and they don't have any True Sight. So they do have 1 Sentry Ward on Shadow Shaman. So they're just trying to wait for Brewmaster to make a play. Until then, Arrow's going to fly, and Centaur, Invoker, actually, will take down the tower. It's a 1-for-0 trade, and they're all just going to back off. Autism have lost all their tier 2 towers. Then the next question is, when are MYM going to look to the high ground? Because the Shadow Shaman in 70 seconds will have Aghanimed ultimate.
Yeah, he didn't drop his ultimate because he didn't have level 11 before then, so he's just waiting for one more creep of experience before he dropped it. But yeah, he's going to have level 11 Aghanim ultimate at before 24 minutes. This is ridiculous farm on ASD. Like, we've been harping about it for quite a long time, but I mean, you compare it to the farm on the Centaur. Centaur's not the core at this point. He's the support. He'll have his pipe done, which is all he really needs. But yeah, Shadow Shaman's really the one that's doing a lot of the damage in these fights.
And then 40 seconds by the time the Shadow Shaman actually gets to wherever he's going. That's going to be about time for the wards to be dropped. And Zeus looking awfully tasty on top. Stampede, Stomp, Sunstrike. Yeah, that guy's dead. And now here comes Carrot, though. He has Sanjasha, who's moving pretty quickly. He's going to try to, well, kill off the teleporting Centaur. No Basher on that guy. So they get the free pick off on Zeus. They use the Moonlight Shadow in order to disengage. So they might have their plans for aggression stopped for a couple of minutes, or a couple seconds, but I think it should still be push a lane time for the MYM team.
And, well, push a lane time it is. As Invoker, he has quite a lot of gold on top of his Force Staff as well as Necronomicon 3. I think either BKB or, well, maybe neither of those. Not going to go for Boots of Travel either, as he picks himself up an Ultimate Orb, so presumably towards the Hex for some instant initiation. Another Scouting Zeus ulti. I don't know, that's going to hurt their fighting potential a little bit. But yeah, Zeus still waiting for his level 11.
Sorry, Siren. I'm going to mute myself real quick.
Oh, that's fine. As well, up in top, we do have Bland pushing out alone. Bland's really the one that's suffering as far as net worth is concerned on the MYM side, but even he is sitting on 1,800 gold. We'll have to see where he's going to go for his item choice. I don't think they have a mech for their team, and with the Arcane Boots already on the Mirana, I kind of would like to see a mech picked up by Bland. I think it would help them, even though it's pretty late. I think it would definitely be a worthy cause. Either that or a Force Staff.
So there's Serpent Wards deployed in the Ancients. Was that stacked up at all, or what happened
I should
there?
hope so. I don't know. Shadow Shaman just wants that extra gold. It looks like it was stacked based on how much gold he has in his inventory, but I don't know. Might have just been a single one. Oh, up in top, Zeus gets obliterated.
That was a connected arrow with a Sunstrike follow-up. Zeus is once again going to take the fall for the rest of the team, but Baby Knight not necessarily in the safest of positions. Will escape in the end, and will Arise, 50 Centaur. They're putting as much pressure as they can towards the bottom lane. However, 50 Centaur a little bit stuck. There we go. Got to get that horse out of the trees. Arise is going to throw the Forest Spirits at the tower, and Autism, they will mount a defense right now. And I think MYM, they're just going to look to push out all the lanes equally, and then slide to whatever lane they think is the most vulnerable, or whatever took the most chip damage, what have you. 25 seconds until their Serpent Wards are back up again, and then I think it's high ground time.
Yep. Oh no, Doom can devour Forge Spirits and does get nothing for it, so we'll hang on to that Alpha Wolf aura. That is giving quite a lot of damage to the Lifestealer. Another Scouting ultimate, and well, you kind of mentioned it earlier, that Lifestealer does not have a Basher. That's not going to be the case for very much longer, as after the SNY drums and phase, he will pick that one up for himself, so a lot more damage going his way, and Lifestealer is going to be a bit more of a threat if he's able to get off his rage before he gets disabled. But with a Blink Hex on the field, that's going to be pretty difficult. We'll have to see. He has an Aegis at least for the next minute, but I think that one's going to time out before they actually fight.
Yeah, that's probably the only thing that MYM are waiting for now that I think about it. Like, you don't really want to fight into an Aegis when you don't have to, so they're just going to chill and stack the Ancients a couple more times, get more farm, try to get the next big item for their heroes, whether it's a Please Aghanim Scepter on the Skywrath Mage, though likely to be Bloodstone Invoker, will be going for a Sheepstick for himself. So the rest of the items not really coming up just yet for MYM, but still they're playing patient. They only need to do so for another 30 seconds.
I don't know, I think Aghanim Scepter on Skywrath before Bloodstone is probably not a very good idea. He might be able to drop 2 ultis at level 16 with the Ags completed, but that would be all he could drop. And really you want that Arcane Bolt spam a little bit more than the instant double ulti.
This Shadow Shaman, man, he's just Serpent Warding like there's no tomorrow. Like, he doesn't give a damn about pushing. He's just dropping the Serpent Wards to clear a 2-stack, and that's it. He's at 2,200 gold, so this guy is really freaking loaded still. But that's just going to mean that there's no pushing for another 78 seconds for MYM. I don't know if that's the smartest move.
I think it's fine. There's no tier 2 towers, and still, they're respecting the team fight coming out from Autism. They might be delaying this a little bit too long. I don't know. Looks like they're going to give up the tier 1 tower up top while they put some pressure on the bottom as well as mid lanes. Not sure if Autism are going to get the good or best trade out of this, as Necronomicon are going to put a bit of chip damage onto this tier 3.
And Doom in the front lines is fairly vulnerable right now, so he's got to watch out for the Blinking Centaur. There it is. Sunstrike, Mystic Flare. Oh my god, that Doom was not there for long. CY gonna jump in, but he doesn't have an epicenter. He actually uses Blink Dagger already. Gonna hit with the concussive shot, plus the Stampede slow. Carrot's gonna try to move in as Baby Knight does take Lightning Ball straight to the face, but the pipe does protect him for the most part. Rosa's gonna jump in for a split with the BKB, ensuring that he does get it off land. With the Invis, is gonna survive only for a little while longer. Baby Knight and Arise both going to split in directions. Who's gonna be the target focus? Gonna be Arise. Has a Force Staff, though it's a little bit too late. He already got struck by lightning. And Autism, they only lose a couple of heroes. The Doom did buy back in that, but everyone else from MYM, they do manage to get out.
Yeah, I don't know, not the biggest loss for MYM, but still losing some pretty important heroes. Most importantly, Arise on the Invoker dying there at the very end. So yeah, still fairly even. Although it looks like a tier 1 tower is going to go the way of Autism.
It's only a tier 1 tower though, so MYM, they're not going to care too much about that. Shadow Shaman did survive, and that means he's gonna farm up even more, and it looks like he's spending all of his gold towards an Oblivion Staff, which of course spells out Refresher Orb. So double Aghanim's Ward Drop is absolutely terrifying. It's like one of the best backdooring moves you could possibly make, aside from like a Wisp Tiny or something like that. But Autism are going to have to, keep their teleportation scrolls on their person or Boots of Travels or something. Otherwise, they could very easily lose a set of Raxes if ASD gets into their base.
Yeah, and while Shadow Shaman almost has the 2 components completed for that refresher, and the way he's been farming, that might be done before they actually go high ground. I don't know. Or we're probably going to see an Aghanim's refresher Shadow Shaman with Blink and Arcane Boots at 35 minutes in, which on a quote-unquote support is ridiculous.
You got to use air quotes for that word support, because for a core Shadow Shaman, like if he was solo mid or something, this would be more or less on par with where he should be if he was getting solo mid levels of experience and farm and stuff like that. But he was supporting and pulling the entire time. So, yeah, this guy is just farming like an absolute madman. And we'll see if it ultimately benefits MYM or if they just can't get anything going. This Lifestealer is getting pretty big, as he does have 3,800 gold. Can pick up an Abyssal with no buyback available if he does so. And it looks like he will do that. In fact, Abyssal Blade has been picked up. So Lifestealer getting pretty big himself. MYM, they are still on a timer, but they still have a couple of minutes of opening.
Yeah, I don't know. This Lifestealer is pretty much the only hero on the side of Autism that's farmed, though. Doom does have Blink and BKB, which will be nice. It's all about whether or not they can get the jump on the Lifestealer, or whether the Lifestealer gets the jump on them. Yeah, we'll have to see. With the Instant Silence or Instant Hex going his way, could be problematic. Arrow, it's going to tag on to Maestro, and with the Sunstrike, he's going to drop almost just from that in the Scarlet Mage ulti. Poor Zeus.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even like a Zeus thing. I'm pretty sure if anyone else got hit by that,
yeah,
they probably would have gone down as well. But he was just like in the wrong place at the right time. It's a really nice arrow from Bland, and then of course, it's really hard to miss a Sunstrike and a Mystic Flare off of what looked like a almost max range stun arrow. So Zeus is going to drop for another 20 seconds, and nothing you can really do about that if you're Zeus.
Yeah, I don't know. Zeus has just not had a very fun game as far as those pickoffs are concerned. Pretty much the last 4 kills, I don't know, or the single pickoffs at least, have been on that Zeus. Yep. I don't know. Wrong place, right time, I suppose.
Yeah, they're waiting for Roshan. The Invoker has eyes in it with the Forge Spirit, though Hiroso will jump in and distract the Forge Spirit a little bit, but they will see that the Roshan is respawning. Should it come to a Roshan fight, Zeus is an incredibly potent hero to have in that scenario, because Static Field is going to do a lot of damage. However, MYM, they will have Serpent Wards, they will have Invoker, and they will have a Centaur. So I think overall the Roshan fight should be fairly even, barring a huge 5-man epicenter from CY, but right now it's being pinged out, so everyone knows that it's around. And Bland, another arrow. This time it's not going to connect on Zeus, so he's going to be lucky for that one, but still the Roshan is going to be the focal point of attention.
Yeah, Scythe of Ice completed by the Invoker. This could be a pretty explosive fight. Let's see how it's going to break down. Invoker has maxed out Quas, and, well, his Wex is going to be very low level for this, but honestly, with his build, it doesn't matter. He's just going to be able to do so much damage to Mirana ulti, and it looks like, oh, CY is going to get caught out. Oh, Blink, fast fingers. They drop the ultimate, trying to cage him out, and, well, they drop the Zeus ulti as well to get Vision. Bland is caught inside the pit. He's going to try to leap away. They drop a Thunderclap on the ground. Blink, they're going to do him with the Skywrath Mage. The Meteor doing some decent damage to Roser here. Gets the BKB split off, however. Now 50 Centaur are going to be focused down and just munched to death by the Lifestealer. Doom kind of caught in a very awkward situation as the Doom is going to wear off in Skywrath Mage. Eventually, Sunstrike onto the Shackle target. It's going to be there and gives Invoker a kill. So at the end of the day, a fairly even exchange, a lot of spells being spent, and while Roshan is still surviving, although at less than half.
Bland has another arrow. He's going to throw it, which almost connected. CY will blink out of there. Does have the life stealer inside of him. He's going to want to turn around, but Mystic Flare. He's going to force that forward for a whiffed Burrow Strike. He will get shot down by the Shadow Shaman. Now Carrot bursts out of that Sand King's body. Going to try to go for Bland, but he's going to change his mind and turn tail and run. ASD can jump forward for another Hex. Does he have a Shackle? You bet he does. Who's it going to be? It's going to be on Maestro, and they should be getting the kill on Zeus and on Carrot. That's going to be 4 kills for MYM. Autism deciding to re-engage, but unfortunately the Mystic Flare has a relatively low cooldown, and Baby Knight has a ton of mana left. Buyback from the Sand King, but their tier 3 is in a little bit of trouble. It looks like they will not push their luck, MYM, so they're going to fall back. Roshan is about at half HP. I don't think they can get this one either.
Yeah, so for now, lots of buybacks forced out, and a pretty big win for MYM, and well, there's your refresher at 34 minutes coming up from the Shadow Shaman, and I don't know. This is scary. He's going to have Serpent Wards whenever he wants them, or just the double Serpent Wards. If you walk up to a lane, drop the double Serpent Wards, it's probably just going to die straight up from that, as long as you don't have 5 enemy heroes focusing them down. For now, back in the Roshan pit from Team Autism. They know this is going on with the Forge Spirit. Will they be able to take it fast enough? Currently, MYM are not in the best position in order to defend.
The hilarious thing for the Shadow Shaman is that once he gets one more level, gets his Master Serpent Wards to level 3, he won't be able to afford refreshing it again without Arcane Boots and maybe even some Magic Stick charges, because you just simply won't have the mana. So it's a devastating combination, yes, but it also takes a crap load of mana to get off the ground. And Autism, they will get warded back off their Roshan attempt number 2. Not really much was used there, just a Mystic Flare, but Skywrath Mage with 12 Bloodstone charges is going to be just fine spending that much mana, because Bloodstone gives him quite a bit of regen.
Yeah, I don't know. One of the big things about Bloodstone is how the next fight after you pick it up goes, and well, luckily enough for MYM, they're going to be able to take a good one. And well, ASD uses the first usage of the Serpent Wards in the pit. He has a refresher if they want to go high ground after this, but they get the Roshan as well as an Aegis for Rise, and well, that's also going to be presumably your Boots of Travel for him flying out in the Courier. This Invoker is getting close to being maxed out. Doom is going to be taking a couple of hits from the Forge Spirits, but for now everybody's going to back off. But Baby Knight, he has an Invis. There's a Sentry on the ground as well, so they might be able to get the jump on the Skywrath Mage as he's alone, but for now he will back off, and everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, I think you just got to wait for those Serpent Wards to come back, and they are now level 3, so that's 1200 mana and then 375. It's a lot of mana that the Shadow Shaman is going to have to expend, so he needs something else to give him that additional jump of intelligence or mana pool or whatever. Otherwise, singles, Serpent Wards, refreshin, and then lay the secondary set somewhere else is not as impressive. Meantime, 50 Centaur, he's going to get doomed up in the enemy jungle. He's pretty much screwed at this point, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Bodybot comes out from CY. They're able to do a little bit of damage with their turn, but in the end, caught between 4 enemy heroes, you're not going anywhere. But yeah, if Shadow Shaman does do the double Arcane Boots, he'll have enough for the double Serp Wards, but not much else. Maybe one Ether Shock on top of that, but that's it.
Bland taking a lot of damage from Maestro's Zeus. Unfortunately, he already used that Thunder God's Wrath, so he can't get the kill on Mirana, but Mirana's only level 12. She has a Force Staff, and that's pretty much it. So she's falling very behind in the gold per minute chart, as a support Mirana should, especially when the other support is Shadow Shaman. He's buying up all the big ticket items, so Mirana's kind of forced to buying up the wards and the sentries and all that poor support stuff. So unfortunately for her, she's in for a very low budget game, but still MYM, they haven't made a significant push attempt in the past couple of minutes. They do have the Roshan under the belt with the Aegis still on the Invoker, so I think it should be about that time. 15 seconds until Centaur does come back up online, and then I think at that point it's got to be push time, right? I've been saying that for like 10 minutes now, but they just haven't been pushing.
Yeah. Well, I was just taking a peek in the chat. It looks like ASD on the side of MYM is, let's see, let me make sure I get this right. But as far as the people, we do have ASD, that's Rise, and Ace is 50 Centaur. So yeah, it's unfortunate that this isn't a ticketed game. But yeah, that does confirm who is actually who.
I'm fine with calling ASD Rise, but 50 Centaur is just, the name is too good to not call him 50 Centaur.
Probably. So in the end, they are going to group up towards top, and it may or may not be pushing time. I don't know. They just haven't found a great opening. Lifestealer is pretty much at his peak. Assault Cuirass would be nice to have on top of this, but your Lifestealer is not really getting much better after the AC.
Yeah, Assault Cuirass plus Basher means that you could isolate one target, chew him down, and then we'll just move on to the next one. As long as You're not focusing on someone who has a ton of armor, though I don't think that's going to be a problem this game because really everyone's kind of armor light as of right now. Of course, that would eventually change. Armor is the best way to deal with the lifesteal. If you get more health, he just does more damage with Feast. But top lane is going to be the push. MYM, they have the double Serpent Wards, and let's see if they're just going to commit right off the bat to it. There's one Serpent Ward, it's going to do a lot of damage, and the double. So much damage, though, already going to kill off the Lifestealer. Hirosa with BKB, as is the Doom. They're going to look for anything that they can find, but these Serpent Wards are just demolishing the Zeus. Now going to town in this Doom. You can't escape these wards. Double kill for Rise. And now the Brewmaster is getting shredded as well. Holy Serpent Wards, Batman. That is just insane damage.
Yeah, I don't know. You hardly ever see that in a professional game, but I don't know. They drop an Epicenter Burrow Strike on a lot of heroes, but that's going to be a full team wipe to round us out. Yeah, that's a ridiculous combination. That Shadow Shaman, his game impact was huge. I don't know, very well played by MYM at the end of the day, and I was concerned about Bland's Mirana at the early portion since they didn't run around and get a lot of kills, but that arrow at the very end, landing on the Lifestealer, pretty much sealed the deal for MYM.
I like how they were just chilling for like 15 minutes, and then suddenly one push, double Serpent Wards into win the game. Like, it's like they were waiting. They could have won the game at any point, and they just chose 39-03 to go ahead and pull the trigger.
Well, that's it for now, but we're going to have more Gigabyte Challenge number 7 shortly. If you like the casting here, you can follow us on HeflaTV on Twitter and Facebook. And, well, this is going to be the next game, which will be the winners, Meet Your Makers, versus the winners of the other series that's also going on simultaneously. Not sure who that is, but we'll have that game coming up shortly. So, see you soon. GG to both teams.
GG, guys.